Greetings. I'm the human vegan known as Bob Linden, here with the canine vegan love of my life, Daisy, in the Bay Area in Northern California, and we are continuing our YouTube Vegan Truther series. I've been the host of Go Vegan Radio with Bob Linden since 2001 and involved with producing various vegan events, mainly in, all I guess in California. Starting with San Diego Fall Fest, and then World Fest in Los Angeles, and the World Vegan Summit and Expo. And so apparently this is my favorite subject. I've been talking about it now in the media for 16, 17 years. I've been vegan coming up on 34 years now, the best decision I ever made. And perhaps well, as I mentioned, it's just so hard, since being vegan is about everything. It's so hard to figure out, well, what topic will we cover? So we'll just go all over the place for as many episodes as possible, because as you two will see, being vegan is related to everything positive. It's the only way to save the world. I think that we can trace everything that's wrong with the world to our consumption of meat, dairy, fish, and eggs. But maybe first I'll get into and as I'm saying, this is our YouTube Vegan Truther series, because there's a lot of truth seeking on YouTube. Everybody wants to know who killed JFK, and who's really behind 9/11, who did the Las Vegas shooting, and all of that kind of stuff. But what seems to get ignored so far, the people who are half awake, they're not really thinking about what's staring them right in their faces, what's on their plate, or who is on their plate. The violence, the war, the terror. Looks like Daisy is ready to start walking, so I guess we'll do that. So here we go. Getting off our little log here in the beautiful Bay Area in Northern California, recently ravaged by wildfires, and of course we've had the drought happening here. The drought as part of climate change. Going vegan is the number one cause. After all, it's what can save your life and what can save the planet. Can't imagine anything more important than that. Yes, save your life in terms of, getting statistics on your side related to heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes. I know that my father died at age 47 of a sudden heart attack, eating meat, dairy, fish, and eggs constantly. That was what was on our plate. We had scrambled eggs in the morning, and what else did we have? We had liverwurst sandwiches and salami sandwiches, and by the way, these considered processed meats now. Things like salami and pastrami, and actually ham and bacon and sausage, beef jerky. I mean, Google Google processed meats. See what the processed meats are? The World Health Organization just recently classified them as carcinogenic. They cause cancer. So you can't feed them to your family. Family values, right? Family values. Health is a family value. So, as you can see, I'm just all over the place. As I'm saying, yes, going vegan can save your life and can save the planet. So it's really hard to come up with a more important cause than that, right? Saving the planet from climate change. Animal agriculture, the number one cause of climate change, responsible for at least 51% of human-generated greenhouse gas emissions, according to the world's top climate specialists, Robert Goodland and Jeff Anhang at the World Bank. Go ahead and Google their study, their assessment of the impact of animal agriculture on climate, called Livestock and Climate Change. And those climate specialists tell us that the only solution for climate change before it's too late is a massive human population shift to being vegan. That's right. That's what you have to do today. If you're really concerned about the climate, it's not really, getting on an airplane and going somewhere and singing songs and marching and chanting. What's most important is that you go vegan. This is a collective effort. Politicians aren't going to save the planet for us from climate change, nor are corporations or even environmental groups who deny the basic truth that climate change is mainly caused by animal agriculture, your appetite for meat, dairy, fish, and eggs. And the only way to reverse it, because, again, if you think the solution is an alternative energy infrastructure, that would cost $35 trillion and take 20 years. And we're basically at tipping points now, so we need this massive population shift to vegan today, and that means you. So, as you can see, going vegan is the number one cause. This way, baby. Guys, come on, let's go this way. Good girl. Here we go. So look at that. Going vegan can help save your family from heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, and save the planet from climate change. And animal agriculture also is mainly responsible for deforestation, resource depletion, water usage. So it's really quite amazing. In fact, there was a study a few years ago from the Stockholm International Water Institute that said a vegan requires 10,000 gallons of water to grow his or her food in a year. And guess what a non-vegan requires? A vegan needs 10,000. A non-vegan, 320,000 gallons. So you can thank me. In the past year, I personally saved 310,000 gallons of water. You can thank every vegan you know for saving 310,000 gallons of water in the past year. And look at that. I've been vegan now for 33 years. Multiply 310,000 gallons by 33. I can't quite do that in my head, even though I did go to Stuyvesant High School, a math and science high school in New York City. So that also means that 32 of me can be fed versus one non-vegan. So when we're considering issues of world hunger, do we feed 32 people or do we feed one person? So as you can see, going vegan is the number one cause, and I did it for the animals. It is the number one cause for animals. I don't know, if you say you really love animals and you care about animals, can you really not be vegan? You say you're an environmentalist, can you really not be vegan? You say you're for peace and justice, can you really not be vegan? No justice, no peace. And certainly there's no justice for the innocent animals. So how did I come about the way of life that is vegan? And it is the way of life. Non-vegan is the way of death. Death eaters. Everybody's eating death everywhere. Corpses, body parts. How did we get brainwashed into that? Do we have an appetite for cadaver? I guess cadaver tastes pretty good with ketchup, right? So that's the idea behind it. But hey, I grew up totally normal too, abnormally normal, eating meat, dairy, fish, and eggs every day. As I said, my life was full of eggs and cow's milk and tuna fish sandwiches for lunch and hamburgers and steak and chicken. The standard American diet of death. And it certainly killed my father at age 47 with a sudden heart attack. And interestingly, all of his brothers and sisters had heart disease too. So we thought, wow, this is in the family. This runs in the family. But what really ran in the family was the diet of meat, dairy, fish, and eggs. So I'm going along, minding my own business as a normal non-vegan. I'm going to Queens College, City University of New York, and I'm age 19. And, you know, all my friends would come over Friday nights to our apartment. I had a roommate, Jay. Jay always resented that people kept saying, like, let's go over to Bobby's house. Let's go to Bobby's house. So it was Bobby and Jay, just in case Jay is watching this video from, I don't know, eons ago. So Friday evenings, we would come over to my place. I played music, track-by-track music. I was really into music. I was on the Queens College radio station doing a music show. In fact, that was my life, my real life for many years, was as a program director at music radio stations around the country. And by the way, I recently launched Radio Bobby, RadioBobby.com. The music experience of a lifetime happens to be my lifetime. I listen to lots of music since I started in broadcasting in 1977 on what are now called terrestrial radio stations. Back then, they were just called radio stations. And who came up with the term terrestrial anyway, which seems to mean land, right? I guess the antenna was on land, but the radio signals, AM, amplitude modulation, and FM, frequency modulation, were airwaves. I would prefer to call it that I was on airwave radio stations. Doing music, that was my career. I was a program director. Very fortunate to be able to actually pick the music. Most program directors are just there to implement the desires of consultants. I had no interest in working with consultants. I was spoiled. The first radio station, my first station where I did a music show was KXFM in Santa Maria, California. And I chose all my own music, and eventually the new general manager came to the station and liked what I was doing, so he asked if I could make the rest of the station sound like my show, which I did, and that worked pretty well. So I was the unusual one who had creative control and would listen to music and play it based on on how great I thought the song was, you know, which is kind of interesting because in Washington, D.C., I was the program director of Jazzy 100, which was sold, and the new owner was coming in. They didn't really want to keep it, even though it was a huge success. I mean, the Washington Post wrote, like, Jazzy 100 became a money-making machine when Lyndon took over. And it was very popular in the city. But the new owners had a feud with somebody else in town who had an oldies station. So the new owners wanted to make it an oldies station anyway. So anyway, the president of the company, Colfax Communications, took me aside one day and said, now, let me get this right. You add music by listening to it? Which is actually quite bizarre in the radio world. Usually everything is researched, consulted. I play things that I think sound great, which you will hear on Radio Bobby. If you go to RadioBobby.com, definitely check it out. I think it'll be one of the best music stations you've ever heard. So anyway, that was a long detour, starting with being at Queens College, and then, hey, hold on, baby. This is the part of our walk where we go uphill. Daisy usually likes me to do all the work uphill, and she'll do the work downhill. I don't know why she can't go uphill. She has 2 more legs than me to work on it, but maybe that's her complaint. I have 2 more legs than you, so just you do the work uphill. So, all right, baby, love you so much. And so, okay, I went to Queens College. WQMC, doing a music show there. And Friday nights, all the friends would come over to Bobby's house, to Bobby's and Jay's. And so I also cooked dinner every Friday night. And what I made was a chicken dish. It was a chicken dish with an apricot glaze. I say apricot because that's how it was pronounced in the NBC Handbook of Pronunciation. I actually went to broadcasting school, and although in the NBC Handbook of Pronunciation it also said we should say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, instead of Monday, Tuesday. I don't know. So, apricot glaze every Friday night on a chicken. One Friday night, I look down at the pan and I see it's someone's body. I don't know, I guess prior to that, I was cooking round, nondescript cutlets. But on one particular Friday night, I looked down and I said, wow, this is somebody's body. And of course, I was brainwashed to think that the animals knew that it was their purpose to be eaten. I'm just looking down at the frying pan and thinking, this poor bird didn't volunteer to be here and was killed just for me to be eating, and I don't think I can eat animals anymore. So I said that on one particular Friday night, and became what I thought was the first vegetarian I ever knew. Oh, this is video, so I do the quotation marks in the air. First vegetarian I ever knew, but I really didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I had to stop eating animals. I really didn't consider the cruelty and murder involved with dairy and eggs. In fact, I thought, well, you know, the chickens have to lay eggs and cows have to give milk, so I guess I can keep consuming those as a vegetarian. But really, now that I consider it, non-vegan vegetarianism is meaningless. I might as well still have eaten the cow, right? Because dairy basically means, well, the procedure is rape of a cow, so she produces a baby, so she produces milk, the baby is kidnapped and becomes veal or is fattened up to become beef, and the process just keeps repeating with mama cow, rape, birth, kidnapping, and then when she can't produce anymore, she becomes hamburger. So what was I doing as a vegetarian still consuming dairy, right? Or consuming eggs. I mean, all the male chicks are ground alive or suffocated just after birth, and the females are mutilated, imprisoned, and murdered when they can produce no more. So, you know, for some years I went along thinking I was doing something as a non-vegan vegetarian. I mean, I didn't call myself non-vegan vegetarian. I don't even think I knew the word vegan even in 1984 when I finally found the truth about dairy and eggs. I don't even know if I knew the word vegan then, a word that came to us in the 1940s from the Watsons in the UK, who started the Vegan Society there. So I did this for animals. This way of life, being vegan, is for the animals, primarily. As I said, I looked down at the frying pan, I saw somebody's body, and I said, I don't think I can eat animals anymore. People thought I was being kind of strange. I was engaged at the time. My future ex-mother-in-law, the butcher's wife, kept saying, you're gonna die if you eat like that. And it's probably true. After all living beings do die, but I think maybe I will die further into the future than had I continued to eat meat, dairy, fish, and eggs. I mean, as I said, my father died at age 47. And so I've outlived him by a number of years now. Also, my mother died of cancer at a young age, so I've outlived her by a number of years now. I mean, I'm just saying, maybe I've benefited from that. So anyway, though, as I said, I do this for the animals. So at the time, even if I had thought this would be detrimental to my health, I was going to do it because I knew that there would be violence inflicted on beings that I would be financing. Violence and killing. And I said, I don't think, I just can't participate in this anymore. I couldn't live with myself. So I wish there had been somebody like me way back then to clue me in on the dairy and eggs, because I certainly would have eliminated them immediately. But once I did find out about them, and that was in 1984, I was the program director of Star 106 in San Antonio, and I wanted to do a benefit for an animal organization. And I came across the literature there about dairy and eggs, and I said, wow, I really haven't been doing anything as a vegetarian. If I'm a non-vegan vegetarian, what's that? What's that? I guess that's a break for the pigs. Daisy, hold on one second, baby. Hang on. Stay. She wanted to get down, and we ran around a little bit, and I want to get this walk up the hill here. Doing okay, sweetheart? My love. So anyway, going vegan, the most important cause, the number one cause, the number one activism, if you're concerned about your family's health, the number one activism if you're concerned about the environment. And there are so many other issues related to being vegan, as I mentioned. World hunger, poverty, and you name it. And we'll explore those on this YouTube Vegan Truther series. And I invite you to listen to archives of our radio program at goveganradio.com, where you can make a donation. You can support us through Patreon subscription. That's goveganradio.com. On Facebook, we are Go Vegan Radio with Bob Linden. On Twitter, at Go Vegan Radio. And by all means, check out my 24/7 amazingly awesome music radio station at radiobobby.com. Thanks a lot.